10 minutes deep. All right, cool. Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Ukiyold West. My name's Dave Tedder, and by trade I'm a tattoo artist, but for the next 4 years I'm going to be playing the role of a real artist right here on YouTube. Now, what is the Ukiyold West? This is a project that's been kicking around in my head for some time now. I'm kind of excited to get it out, and share the process with all of you. I know my wife Lauren is really excited to not be the only person hearing about this thing. So let's get in the weeds with it, right? Ukiyold West is, it's going to be like a retelling of the stories from the American frontier, but reimagined in the ukiyo style from like the Edo and the Meiji eras of Japan. Now, I'm thinking cowboys and rangers and chiefs and warriors and posses and sporting girls in the style of like samurai, Ronin and Geisha, tough guy stuff. I grew up on cowboys and Indians and outlaws, and I think most everyone from my generation did. Shooting 6 guns, riding the plains on horseback probably seemed like the pinnacle of freedom whenever I was an adolescent mind. I've always felt like a bit of a misanthrope too, so maybe the vastness of the plains kind of makes sense with all that in some way. Now later, before I ever even started tattooing really, I became obsessed with large-scale Japanese tattoos. And eventually that led me to the source, which is Japanese woodblock prints from the 19th century. Now, hands down, Yoshitoshi is my favorite, but I love all the great masters from those two eras. So what if I took the two things that I'm most passionate about and tried to blend them together? Blur the lines where my version of the East meets my version of the Wild West. I think at first look, we're talking oil and vinegar with these two cultures. We're talking apples and oranges. But the more I thought about it, I think it's really more like oranges and tangerines, or apples and apple adjacents. The similarities really kind of start to stack up once you go looking for them, Now, I'm not trying to compare myself to any of these great masters that I'm about to name. I've spent my whole life standing on the shoulders of giants, just wishing I was tall, But you know how Kuniyoshi's kind of famous for his warrior prints? How he painted the heroes of the Suikoden? I kind of plan to paint the heroes and the outlaws of the western frontier in the same style. Like Buffalo Hump and John Coffey Hayes and Billy the Kid, and as many as I can think of. Well, what about my favorite homie Yoshitoshi? He's my favorite because he loved to use ultraviolence in his prints. Well, the plains were pretty violent in their own right. And if I can recreate half of what's been playing in my head, we'll have some pretty gruesome paintings to look at. Kiyosai loved the supernatural and is known for painting yokai and yurei. And in the Ukiyold West, we'll have thunderbirds and wendigo, snake people. I want to learn as much as I can about like Apache and Comanche and Sioux mythology. Try to translate all that visually, Kunisada loved to paint the kabuki actors of his day. I think it's okay for me to break from the historical record a little bit and paint some of my favorite Western actors. I might even paint a few Hiroshige-inspired landscapes of Utah just for shits and giggles. Fuck it, But all in all, I think I'm going to be focusing on like the fantastical mythologies of the Old West. Now, the majority of this will be historically accurate, but I'm definitely not going to let something like facts stand in the way of making a real good painting. I mean, we don't have any proof, that Jesse James met with William Bonney at the old Adobe Hotel in Hot Springs, New Mexico, but we've got Henry Hoyt's tale. And if you believe that, then the story's going to make a great painting when I'm done with it. We don't really know how Johnny Ringo died up underneath that tree, but I know I'm going to have a lot of fun speculating. I will shoot straight though. I'm no expert on this subject. By the time this project is complete, I expect to know the 1800s back to front. So I guess I got some learning to do, right? Historically and artistically. I need to learn all the details, like the Battle of Little Bighorn. But I also need to learn like 30 different ways to draw a cowboy hat in the ukiyo style. What kind of timeline do you think we're looking at? Right now, through October, it's research and development of the style, I think. I've already began, but I'm going to maintain a catalog of sketches to kind of prepare for all the paintings to come. Hats, lanterns, ropes, saddles, horses, everything in between. Lauren and I also plan to make a few trips out west to do our own boots on the ground type research. I want to visit Dodge City. I want to visit Tombstone in the Black Hills. I kind of want to walk the same streets, as like Bat Masterson and ride the same plains as Crazy Horse to collect my own reference, take my own pictures and catch a piece of that magic. I really want to photograph the landscapes, what's left of the ghost towns. I want to find whatever artifacts are in the museums and get as many photos of that as I can too. Because in October, the real work is going to begin, I guess. 3 paintings a month for 36 months. Big ones. Great big ones. As big as the West is wide. Warrior paintings full of violence and shunga and magic. I want to make bloody and dusty paintings that make you feel the grit of the sand in your teeth and you wish for water or whiskey to knock it back, And I want to film all along the way and share it here, show the process to all of y'all. Throughout this multi-year process, none of these paintings are going to be available for purchase. They're not for sale. The entire project's actually going to be subsidized by my tattoo career. I'm going to start a Patreon pretty soon, if anybody would like to visit there. And we'll also release the occasional bit of merchandise. It's here and there. But when it's all complete, when the paintings are complete, I'm going to gather all my sketches, everything I've written down, everything I've photographed, everything I've painted, and put it all in a pile. And I'm going to start assembling a book to properly tell these stories. And right now I'm thinking it's going to be self-published, like almost everything in my life. I'm going to limit it to 1,000 copies. And I've never made a bound book before, but considering this is new territory, I'd like to keep the price pretty reasonable still, though, in hopes to sell them all, Because if the book does well, I'd like to turn that success into something else that I've never done before. 22 years of painting, I've never had a proper gallery show. I guess it's kind of like been one of those always a bridesmaid scenarios, The truth is, I can be a lot to deal with sometimes. Some people think I'm abrasive, so instead of waiting on the invitation, I'm going to keep with the do-it-yourself mentality of the frontier, and we're going to do the damn thing. We're going to find a warehouse on the outskirts of Austin and get to work constructing like a network of hallways to display all these paintings on and have that terminate into a main street in the rear of the warehouse with like a saloon facade built inside. And that way on opening night, we're going to have a whiskey and a jerky bar instead of like the traditional cheese and wine. Maybe have a piano player in the corner playing Stephen Foster. Bunch of dust on the ground. It'll be pretty grand. Because this is going to be the 4-year grand finale for this whole project. This is going to be where the paintings are actually available to view in their entirety. And if you follow along and you have interest in both of these subjects, I think you're going to want to see this in person. I've got some pretty cool stuff planned out for opening night, and I'm sure it's only going to get better between now and then. This is also where the paintings will finally be available for purchase. All the originals will be available, and there will be prints available of a select few that are to be determined. I guess I'm thinking most likely I'm going to do like a small run of limited prints for my favorite 3 to 5 paintings, probably. Now, I'm also in search of a woodblock carver and a printer. I would really like to create some woodblock prints in the old style for at least one of these paintings. It's a skill I'd like to master myself, but I know I don't have the time right now. And not if I'm going to complete 108 paintings in the next 3 years. But until then, this is the spot. This is where you can follow along, maybe even take part in the process. You guys know the deal. If you hit the like and subscribe buttons if you want to stay up to date, maybe even try a comment or two letting me know what Western scenes you'd like to see painted in the Ukiyo style. And we're also on all the other social media accounts. The Instagrams, the Facebooks, the TikToks. Same name, slightly different content. You can find us at Ukiyold_West. The Y is silent, and there will be a link in the show notes. And if you're the type that likes all of the behind the scenes info, then please look us up on Patreon. I'm going to try to pull the curtain back and really show you guys how the sausage is made there. Patreon, I'm going to upload like all my reference photos, early sketches, in addition to like specific videos, and we'll do Q&A and finished work there too. Patrons also get Patreon specific merchandise drops like once yearly. You're going to get first crack at any other Ukiyold merchandise that's available. And the first pre-sale for the book is going to be for Patreon members only. And then the second pre-sale will be for general public. The Patreon pre-sale for the book will be exclusive and will include a free piece of original art drawn inside the cover. And all patrons are going to receive an invite for the gallery show as well. So if you're into that, that might be a spot to hang out. Now, links for everything should be in the show notes below, and I really hope to see all y'all on the trail.